folks, you remember back in 2008, 2009, that President Obama told the American people that if you like your insurance plan, you can keep your insurance plan. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. That if you don't have health insurance, this was health insurance that was going to be affordable. Well, the Republicans screamed blue murder about those statements being lies. Now, it didn't help the Obama administration that the person that they put in charge of getting the Affordable Care Act up and rolling dropped the ball. I'm going to be nice about that. Sibelius seemed like she was a nice lady, so I'm just going to say she dropped the ball on it. Maybe her area of expertise didn't allow her to really be the strong administrator that this thing needed, because it absolutely needed a strong administrator. Healthcare in this nation accounts for approximately 20% of the overall economy. So you need somebody that really knew what the hell they were doing in getting this thing up and rolling. And the fact that they didn't have the websites, servers, availability, etc., up and running on this thing the day that it opened up, in my opinion, was a major shortcoming by the Obama administration. They should have been stress testing this thing at least 90 days before the system was supposed to be up, and they didn't do that. Fortunately, there were some patriotic Americans who were in the IT field, and they came to the rescue. You know, some guys were basically living, and I do mean living, on site to get the system up and running, and they were successful, and I take my hat off to those people and I thank them. But now we have some new lies, and the lies have been exposed just as quick or quicker than the quote-unquote lies that the Republicans rained all over President Obama on. The first lie is that this new plan, according to Mr. Trump, was going to cover everyone. He made that claim throughout his campaign all of last year and into this year. He also claimed that coverage was going to be better. He also claimed that premiums were going to go down, as well as claiming that Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security were not going to be touched. Well, thus far, they haven't touched Social Security, and thus far, they haven't touched Medicaid. But this particular plan is like Christmas in March for Paul Ryan, because it absolutely goes after Medicare. The Congressional Budget Office issued its report yesterday, and in that report, it claimed that if this, you can call it the American Health Care Act, now that's a name, it's not a description. If the American Health Care Act is put into place, almost immediately by 2018, 14 million people will be without health care from today's date. 10 years down the road, that number will increase to 24 million people being without health care from the numbers as of today. Well, the Republicans, for whatever reason, don't seem to be all that upset about it. But what they are hanging their hats on is the quote-unquote reduction in the deficit, which comes in at approximately, I believe it's $393 billion. You'll see the numbers shortly. But the lion's share of that, the lion's share of the savings go to the upper, let's just call it the way it is, the top 0.1% of the people in America. The people most affected by this do see a small, and I do mean small, tax cut. But the thing that takes it in the neck is Medicare. Medicare costs are reduced, okay? Medicare expenditures are reduced by over $900 billion, okay? And from the $900 billion, now you start subtracting down the reduction in the taxes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and that's where you get the $393 billion in savings over the period. Anyway, here's the particular clip from this morning.
Congress taking a snow day, canceling a hearing in the House on the Republican health care plan as the White House fires back over that new report from the Congressional Budget Office that estimates the number of people without insurance would jump by 14 million next year, 24 million over 10 years. ABC senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega has the details. Good morning, Cecilia.
George, good morning to you. The White House is pushing back on those numbers before they were even out, calling them absurd, inaccurate, and they say they stand by their health care plan. Strong words from the White House. The health secretary emerging from the West Wing on Monday to fight back against that report that delivers a blow to the president's promise of insurance for everybody.
We disagree strenuously with the report that was put out. We think that CBO simply has it wrong.
The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimates the plan to repeal and replace Obamacare would leave 14 million more Americans without insurance next year. And within a decade, the number of uninsured growing by 24 million. The president not backing down, saying the House Republican plan is just the first offer.
We're negotiating with everybody. It's a big, fat, beautiful negotiation.
And Speaker Paul Ryan trying to stay positive.
This is a good work in progress. We're extremely excited about this. And I'm really actually, frankly, encouraged.
But for Democrats, there is nothing encouraging about it.
Trump care would be a nightmare for the American people.
And this morning.
All right, so of course the White House was going to push back because they knew they were pushing back against the report that the Congressional Budget Office was going to issue. They were railing against this thing the entire weekend about how wrong the Congressional Budget Office was going to be. They didn't even know what the numbers were going to be, and they were saying that they were going to be wrong. Okay? So, folks, look. Let's say that the Congressional Budget Office is wrong. And let's say that the numbers are vastly inflated. So let's say instead of 14 million people that are going to be without health insurance, that the number's only 7. That's 50% reduction. They're not going to be off by 50%. And that's still 7 million people that are going to be without health insurance, okay? They're not going to be off on their numbers as far as the tax savings for the rich. They're not going to be that far off as far as the overall effect to the budget deficit. So really what we're talking about are the numbers of the insured. So basically, it's a lie. Now, further, insurance premiums are going to rise. This bill takes the shackles off of the insurance companies. Now, I have said it before, I'll say it again. May Joe Lieberman's ass burn in hell. Because if he had given the Democrats the one assured vote that they needed, single payer would be in place right now and we would not be having this discussion. But Mr. Lieberman decided that it was more important for him to be in the pockets of the insurance companies than to cast his vote in favor of the welfare of the American people. Mr. Trump said that this is just the first blush and that everything is a negotiation. I want to see how he and Paul Ryan negotiate out of 14 million people having to go without health care. I want to see him negotiate out of massive rollbacks of the Medicare expansion. I want to see him negotiate with the insurance companies for them to drop prices, okay, which they are not going to do. Now, if he has got a set as big as the great outdoors, what he needs to do, okay, which would help, by the way, is to go to United Healthcare and put the screws to them, because United Healthcare is contributing a lot to what's going on here. Why do I say that? Well, funny thing that really wasn't publicized all that much. Last year, United Healthcare took a shot across the bow of the U.S. government and the American people. United Healthcare issued a statement that the Republicans loved, and they ran with it and to this day continue to repeat it. And the basic statement, I'm going to paraphrase, is that Obamacare is circling the drain and is getting ready to basically implode. That could not be further from the truth. Are there problems with the Affordable Care Act? Yes, they are. Can those problems be fixed legislatively? Yes, they can. Are the Republicans willing to make those fixes? No, they're not. Why not? Because they have labeled this Obamacare. And I hate to say this, but anything Obama, anything that was proposed or created by President Obama, the Republicans can't stand. Now, it's up to you to figure out the reason why. But I'll point you back to the 2009 inauguration, where people like Mitch McConnell met with other Republicans and stated that they were going to be obstructionists and that they wanted to make President Obama a one-term president. Now, they didn't even know what this guy was going to do, but they said that he had to be removed as quickly as possible. You make the call on why you think they did that, made those statements, and then stuck to their words. But I have my own opinion, and it has a lot to do with his makeup. And I'll leave that there. Anyway, back to United Healthcare. They made that statement because they wanted to place pressure on the administration in order to allow a merger between their company, United Healthcare, and Humana. And when the Justice Department and the federal courts stated that it absolutely was not going to be allowed, United Healthcare took action. Now, United Healthcare has pulled out of the healthcare business in a bunch of states. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, United Healthcare, prior to the pullout, had been located in approximately 17 states. Before the merger announcement, they had made plans to expand into an additional 20 states, bringing their total to approximately 37 states. when their merger was denied, all of a sudden, quote unquote, they had to leave various states because it wasn't financially prudent for them to be there. That was the biggest crock of whatever you want to call it that you ever wanted to hear. They were just taking punitive actions because they didn't get their way. So if Mr. Trump really is this quote unquote job creator and he is the expert on the art of the deal, he needs to put the thumb screws to United Healthcare and get them to re-enter all of those markets that they exited from, and also, okay, to expand out into those 20 additional markets that they had projected to enter. That would help to increase competition. That would help to reduce costs. Now, as far as the rest of that stuff, Houdini himself is not going to be able to take the AHCA and turn it into a blossom, a bouquet of roses. What they need to do, if they really are for the American people, is sit down, go through the Affordable Care Act, see the things that they need to change, and make those changes. Because their particular bill takes all of the mandates out, and we all know that if most people don't have to do something, especially if it's going to cost them money, they're not going to do it. That's why the mandates are necessary. So they need to maintain the mandates, they need to maintain the taxes, they need to fix various loopholes. Oh, and the other thing, they need to do something about prescription drugs. Okay? We are getting raped by the pharmaceutical industries. And if necessary, we need to purchase our pharmaceuticals from right next door in Canada, and they don't want to do that. We used to be able to do that, but now they stopped that, and they claim it was a safety issue. Well, you don't hear about a whole lot of people in Canada dying from bad pharmaceuticals. So that in itself, is basically a lie. They can institute procedures in order for us to be able to import pharmaceuticals from Canada, as long as they can do a tracking on exactly where the pharmaceuticals are coming from. So I'm not talking about something that's being manufactured in Bangladesh, imported into Canada, and then quote unquote imported from Canada to the United States. We need to know exactly where the pharmaceuticals are coming from. And to be honest with you, most of the pharmaceuticals in Canada are coming from the US, but they have the ability to negotiate prices on their pharmaceuticals. That's why their prices are so dramatically lower than our prices. And then the other thing, if these guys really want to do something, there are various countries throughout the world, let's talk about Canada, let's talk about Japan, that have healthcare systems that are vastly superior to ours as far as people covered, the amount of coverage they have, their access to healthcare, and in my opinion, the superiority of the healthcare provided to them, because especially in Japan, their people see doctors twice as often as we do, and their people live a lot longer. So, in closing, I hope Mr. Trump has a Houdini, because on this bill, he and Paul Ryan are absolutely going to need it.